Hello, we are back. We had a few days away last week, which meant that there was no weekly vlog. I do apologise, but we are back into the showroom today, of which you can tell that Eddie is very excited to be so. But yeah, we had a few days away, but just because we had a few days away doesn't mean the phone didn't stop ringing. So plenty to be getting on with, a few inquiries to carry on with, and we've also bought quite a few cars, which is going to be a nightmare logistically trying to get them all, but stick with it, we'll get there. So first things first, we did have a couple go out over the weekend before we went away. One of which being the sold white XKR, which they were very, very happy with. Made an enormous journey all the way from Manchester down in this Peugeot 108. So, you know, kudos to doing that. I know the cars are very capable, but I wouldn't imagine it was the most comfortable. But he's very pleased to get home in that SKR because it is just a stunning example. And we also had the Volvo S60 go out as well. He was not necessarily down the road, but only a couple of hours away. So again, very comfortable drive home. So they were good to get out. So the Peugeot 108, it's a relatively nice car. Got a little bit of damage on the rear here, but it may well polish out. But obviously something that we wouldn't necessarily go on with ourselves. So we're trying to tie that in, or we have already got a plan to tie that in with Max, because 2 of the 4 cars that I bought this past week are coming from Max. So the plan is to arrange a day, and I'm very excited to show you what it is that we bought. They're much more exciting than the Peugeot 108. So yeah, that one came in part exchange, and then obviously next to it is my S-Class. Kind of did it just to fill up the forecourt because we are running low. We had such a mega week from the last vlog, which I'm sure you saw. So yeah, there's a few to pick up this week, but the 2 that we're getting from Max I'm very excited about. Another one that we purchased from Nick, another trader that we buy quite a few cars from. Again, he's only local to us, so that's going to be a far easier one to collect. So we're going to get that midweek, which would be nice. And then another of which is actually the Evoque that we previously collected from our customer. We've decided that we're going to have that back, and we've agreed very amicably a deal with Kevin, who had that car. There's certainly no fallout from it or anything like that, but it's just maybe not the one for him on this occasion. So we're going to get that back, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, it happens, and we've managed to deal with it really quite well. So we're going to pick that up potentially this afternoon. So yeah, that one's a little bit, you know, a bit of a shame, but these things happen very, very rarely, but when they do, we want to sort it in the best way that we can. But we've also sold the XJL. We were in conversations with a chap just before we went away for a week. We were only down in Cornwall for a few days, so I'm still very, very contactable, of which then we kind of agreed to deal with their part exchange, etc. So we're going to get that one MOT'd. It's not long been serviced. We serviced it when it came in. So we're going to get that one MOT'd and ready. And we're also conversations with someone regarding this XJ, who live all the way far over to the east in Eastbourne, East Sussex. So he wants it delivered. So we're just getting a couple of quotes from a local company. But there's also one other thing I need to do on this. So we've serviced it and we've MOT'd it. But there was a couple of tyres that were advised on the MOT. And I've actually got the tyres already, just haven't had 5 minutes to go and get them fitted. So they're brand new tyres down at TTS, but we just needed to actually get the car down there. So obviously, hopefully, we'll have a sale on that one and agree delivery, etc. But I just need to get those tyres done anyway, so it's motivation to get that bit done. So yeah, one definite sold, one potentially sold, and lots of cars to collect this week. But we're going to get the XJL out in a moment and take it over to the MOT station. It is now 2 p.m. on the Monday afternoon, and we've done a fair bit of running around. The MOT has already been completed on the sold XJL, and there were no advisories, so that is great news. And then with regards to the XJ, the maroony coloured one, that's down at the workshops to have its tyres fitted. We'll probably pick that up tomorrow morning at this point, but it's down there having that done. And we've actually agreed the deal on that as well, so thank you very much to Graham. We managed to find a very reputable delivery service that isn't going to cost us the absolute earth to do so, and they have availability for later this week, so that's looking really quite good. So yeah, that's 2 sold before the Monday is done, so very, very pleased about that. And then if you're familiar with the previous weekly vlogs, we have this one back. This is an XKR that I purchased 3 weeks ago, I'd say, and it has needed so much doing to it, but it has now made it a very nice example. So we had a new Bilstein shock on the front near side, and I am going to come back to that because it's not quite finished there on that side of things, but it had the new Bilstein shock on there, had all new rear suspension arms, both the upper and the lower, and on both sides, and then also had a full under seal treatment completed on it as well. I'm not even sure if you'd be able to see it if it's not on the ramp. Not really. As you can see, it's all looking nice and shiny. Sorry, it's not the best angle, but you know, it's a good one that you'll get. So we have got 4 wheel nuts to fit onto this one and torque up. But the problem is the Bilstein shock's been fitted. I don't think there's a problem with the shock itself, but it's come up a second I left the workshops. It came up with an adaptive dynamics fault. Plugged it in with my code reader, and it came up that the front left damper solenoid is playing up, and normally it means that the wires need to be, the pins need to be pushed back in on the plug that plugs actually into the shock, because it is a dynamic. So obviously it has the adaptable suspension. So not quite finished on that one there, but it's well into 4 figures on the prep. Had a fresh service, obviously had the alloys done, had all new suspension arms, all under sealed, and then obviously a shock on there. So we're well into 4 figures on it, but hopefully it'll be one of the nicer ones out there once it's all done. Well, it should be, because I spent enough money on it. So we've got that one back now, which is good. Still need to clean and advertise it, obviously. But we're now going to head to Bournemouth to go and get this Evoque. So yeah, that's the plan. It's 2 p.m. It's going to take us just over, well, 2 hours, 20 minutes to get there, and then coming back as well. So a bit of a later finish tonight. But I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later. Back into the showroom on Tuesday morning. We made it back from Bournemouth about 7:30 last night, so it wasn't too bad. I actually used to live in Bournemouth. I lived there for about 3 years or so, and I worked for a car dealership called Norman Motors, which are an independent with a couple of branches at that point. And I really enjoyed it, and it was one of the best places I've ever worked, and it also taught me an enormous amount about what it takes to run a dealership. So yeah, if you live local to them or you ever buy a car from them, it's excellent. They're very, very good. Right, so this is the car in question. It is a Range Rover Evoque that I've already mentioned, and on paper everything about it is fantastic. It's got a great service history, nice low owners, and maintained by Roger Young, which I always sing their praises because they are one of the better main dealers out there. They're not all bad. That one is a very good one. So on paper it is fantastic, but it's got this shudder that we cannot seem to get rid of. It gets better every time. That's the frustrating thing about it. It was very notable when you first jumped into it and started driving it, and it just, we thought we'd fixed it. But after a long drive now, so it seems like everything's warm and everything's kind of, you know, up to temperature and what it should be doing, it seems to then develop this shudder. But again, if you're driving it gentle, there's nothing wrong. It's only when it's only when it's under load is the best way to describe it. So you come up a hill or you go to overtake something, you put your foot down, anything above 50 miles an hour, and it's a shudder through the car. And I know it's not wheel balancing because I know what that feels like. But as I say, it gets better with each time that we've had it back to do something, and we've done an enormous amount. I've spent thousands on it. We've done the Haldex oil pump and the filter at the same time, obviously. We've done the rear differential's been replaced with a reconditioned one that had a warranty and everything. So that was really good. We've also done the central prop shaft with the bearing, which is an enormous amount of money. So yeah, just for those parts alone is thousands. And we've also done a gearbox service, and every service that we do, we put what we call instant shudder fix, even if it needs it or if it doesn't, because it's not snake oil, that one. It is actually a genuinely good additive to put into your gearbox oil. So we put that into it as well. And as I say, driving it gentle, driving it here this morning from home, no problems whatsoever. But I do know that it's there because when I drove it back last night and I come to overtake a couple of things going up a hill, it just shudders through the car. So I don't know what else it could be. Everything else looks tight, it looks nice and everything like that. Kevin, who had this car, was a diamond of a gentleman to deal with. He was ever so polite, ever so kind, and we agreed to buy it back from him, not give him his full money back, because of course he's bought this back in June and he's done about 3,000 miles. We've done a few of those miles, admittedly, but he was just ever so kind. And so much so that when he made his offer of what we could buy it back for, I did increase it a little bit just to say, sorry that you've had to go through everything that we've had going on with this car, because it just doesn't make sense to me at all. So this is one of those cars now we're going to get into the workshops, and it's not going to leave until we feel that we've done something considerable to fix whatever the shudder is. It's absolutely a lost cause to make any money on, but that doesn't mean that we don't stick to our standards and make it right before we sell it again. And then after we've done that, I'm going to use it myself for a few days to ensure that I'm happy with it before we then go to sell it. So that's that one. That's fine. That's the nature of the beast sometimes. So the plan of action for today is to get the XKR back down into the workshops, because I think it's something to do with the wiring that goes into the top of the new shock absorber. It's a Bilstein shock. We've never ever had problems with the Bilstein product, and we try and go for quality wherever we can, obviously. Doesn't mean that it's cheap, but it does mean that it'll last. So yeah, that's the plan, is to get that one back down to the workshops, and then to take the little part exchange Peugeot that we've got to go and get 2 new cars. So bit of a headache, but I'm excited to show you the new stock that we've got coming both today and also tomorrow. So just to show you what I'm talking about, this is the XK bonnet, and this is the wire that goes into the top of the shock. Just on a little pinch release here. There's only one way it can go in. As you can see, there's a little groove just within the cable going towards the sensor in there. So that's a brand new shock, that is. And then these pins apparently are quite prone to being pressed back into the plug. So when you push it in, the pins themselves, oh, I can't even find the groove now. There we go. The pins themselves apparently don't make enough of a contact with the top of the sensor. So I'm hoping it's something as simple as just pushing the pins back in on that there. In fact, I'm going to get a little pick tool and try it myself before running down to the workshop, because it might be as simple as that. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we don't have the adaptive dynamics fault that's come up on the dash, and normally it was on immediately as soon as you moved it even a foot. So I may have fixed it, but I'm not counting my my chickens just yet. We're going to move the bollard out of the way, quickly take it up the road and see if it comes back. Never mind, didn't even pull off the forecourt. Adaptive dynamics fault come off on the dash. So the plan still stands, get it to the workshop. This is one of those cars, but it will be nice when it's all done. It'll be something simple. It'll be a broken wire somewhere, because that's all it takes to bring up this fault. Let's get it down there. It is now 2:10 on the Tuesday afternoon, and we've just come back from Saltash after meeting Max to pick up 2 new bits of stock, which I am very excited to show you. The first one being a Volvo V60 Cross Country Edition, which I think is a bit of a rare thing, to be honest with you, because it's the 4-wheel drive. They obviously sit a little bit taller, a bit beefier. They look like police cars. I drove this one back and it looked like I'm driving an undercover cop car. So it's quite cool, but really nice spec. Got the heated seats, heated steering wheel. Don't know if they had the rear heated seats or not, but it's a lovely colour combination because we're in the metallic grey. No here heated seats, but it's got the light leather interior, which I really quite like, and the black carpet, so it's not too much. But for whatever reason, the leather in Volvos, whenever we have them, seems to be able to hold on to dirt incredibly well, because it's just grubby. Look around the steering wheel there. But it's a 2-litre turbo petrol edition, got memory seats, got a good sound system and bits like that as well. I really quite like it because it's got an actual gear lever in there as well. A couple of the inscriptions that we've had previously, they've got like a bit that stays in place and you just knock it back and forth. But yeah, good spec, lovely colour combination. Only done 42,500 miles with a lovely history, 2 owners from new, and it's also just dropped the silly VED additional tax in, I think it was July of this year, might have been August of this year. So it's now £195 a year to tax, but it does need a little bit of love on the inside because it's just grubby. But obviously we'll get that up to standard. I think that's proper good news car. And we've also got to get it to the body shop just for this back corner here. You see these marks here. So it needs to go to the body shop for that. But that's not going to be too much of a repair. So I'm going to send a picture over to Valentine in just a moment with that there to see what you can do. But tyres are decent all round. Alloys are okay. Could probably do with doing them as well if we can get an opportunity to. But I think that is just proper good news and good value these days. So yeah, very, very pleased with that. And then Soph drove this one back, which she was very excited about. It is a Audi SQ7 and it is the 4-litre V8 TDI, and it's the genuine Vossprung one as well. With an enormous specification, really quite striking on those alloys as well. I really like the colour of it. Just an enormous car, really, which you enjoy driving back. Both cars got both sets of original keys, etc. Keyless entry and start. I'll open this one very gently, and then we've got suede on the door, Alcantara suede headlining, pan roof opening, quilted leather seats, all the virtual dash, screen comes up out the side, nice big center console. Hell of a performance in this thing. So yeah, two excellent bits of stock. This one's done 92,000 miles, so it is slightly higher on the mileage, but it's a lovely history, not long been serviced, and drove back absolutely fine. It also means, because it has done 92,000 miles, for an 18 plate, it's going to be one of the better value ones out there on the market. So I'm quite excited about that, because it is high mileage. I appreciate that. Not everyone's going to be looking for it, but to get into an SQ7 for the value that it's going to be, great news. Right, we're going to move some things around. We're going to put these two to the side for one moment, which is a shame because I want to get them cleaned and advertised, obviously, but we've got to get the two sold XJs cleaned, because one of them being delivered on Thursday and the other one's being collected at the weekend. So we're going to get those done sooner. We're going to take the Evoque over to the workshops and use that to go and pick up one of the XJs and then pick up the other XJ on the way back through. So there's method to the madness, but very, very pleased with the two new bits of stock. Now, those of you that are familiar with my channel, you're most likely also familiar with my friend Joe Betty at Shifting Metal, and he has a really cool website. It's carbackground.co.uk, of which, when I was going through my stock, as I always do, I noticed there was a flag next to one of my vehicles on Auto Trader's live advert, which is basically saying it's something to be checked out. I know what it is already, obviously, before I bought it, but I thought this is a great opportunity to show you what Joe's website can do at really, really good value. So I've got the phone up here. I can do camera access to scan it, and it is really quick. It's done it just now. And now that I've got the Jaguar's information into carbackground.co.uk, it'll give me the most basic stuff on the free version, which is still very useful to know. So I know exactly how many days MOT I've got left, is the vehicle currently taxed, and is it ULEZ compliant? And it also shows me exactly what it is that that registration number is relating to. And of course, it's a 2014 Jaguar XK 5-litre petrol. Tells me how old it is, tells me the annual tax, and also as I scroll down here, it'll give me all of the MOT test history, which is very useful to know. And I know that this is all free information that you can find yourselves anyway, but isn't it easier just doing it on one page? I can also then decide if I want to, and I'm getting quite serious about purchasing this car, I want to know its full background, which of course means that I can look at more databases. So for a full vehicle check, it is £9.99, but I have a code that all of you are very welcome to use. And the code is very simple. It is just CONDOR, apply that code, and that takes £2 off. So you're now getting a full check for £7.99. And I've got it really nice and easy on link. So I can pay that one there. And after just a few seconds, ask me if I'm human. Yes, I'm human. It's now giving me a full and in-depth report on this Jaguar that I have. So as I scroll down the page here, we've got the total owners of 7, and I'm not too concerned about that given the style of vehicle that it is. I then have a lot more information with regards to when it was first registered. I've got engine details, seats and dimensions, tax and safety, the VDI check, which gives me that it's clear on finance, import data, it's never been written off, never been stolen. Of course, we can see different plate changes as well, and the dates of which those plates were on the vehicle, previous keepers as and when they were obviously added to it, and then the mileage down at the bottom. So the flag must be something simple, just in the sense of maybe a plate change, but it is ever so handy to have all of this information on one site. And of course, as I can download this from a VDI report as well, I can print it off to put into my folder that I keep with my car, or of course I can keep it in my garage, which is on this login. So yeah, a huge thank you to Joe for setting that up. It's really, really quite good and excellent value for money. And of course, with our code, you do get a little bit off to say thank you. So of course there is a link and a discount code in the description of this video. So a big thank you to Joe. And of course, if you are looking to look at your own car's history or a car that you're potentially looking to buy, be sure to check out carbackground.co.uk because it is the best value one out there. And with our little code, you'll get a little bit off. So thank you. Back to the video. It's now Wednesday morning, of which we've been over to Nick's to pick up the new bit of stock, but unfortunately, as I jumped into it, had an engine management light and a restricted performance, which is a real pain in the backside. And Nick didn't have his diagnostics thing handy to be able to check out what that is. So that is, it's not a no, just need to find out what it is and make a plan going forward. My money is on the fact that it's an inlet manifold. I haven't told you what it is, but that might be a clue as to what it is. And if you know your cars, you might be able to tell. But the plan of action today is this XJ is all cleaned, the one that's going far over to the east, of which the delivery driver is just around the corner to pick that up. So we're going to get that ready for him now, so that he can load that up into his transporter to get that delivered tomorrow. And then we've got a bit of running around to do. I'm going to get my Defender serviced today, just because we're so hot on it and we do a load of miles. So I'm going to get that one serviced today, and then we're going to bring one of the new bits of stock in, most likely the SQ7, because that'll be ready quicker to photograph and advertise. And Eddie gets very excited about an Audi, as you can hear. So yeah, we'll get that one in, we'll clean that one, ready to be photographed and advertised, although I'm not sure the weather's going to give us a break today to be able to do it. But we'll keep it inside, make sure it's nice and clean and ready to rock and roll as to when we are. But yeah, we'll get this one out. Terrible hat hair today, but that is the XJ all loaded up, and he's well ahead of schedule, so he's actually going to deliver that to my customer this afternoon, which is great news. So he'll keep us informed as to whereabouts he gets to. We've also taken my Defender down to the workshops, so that's going to have a fresh service, so oil and filter, air filter and fuel filter, which is obviously good news for that. We've got the other sold XJ into the showroom, as we're going to give that its interior clean, so that it's all ready to be collected this weekend, which is good news. But whilst I was also down at the workshop, we've obviously got our XKR, the black one, which we've already spent an enormous amount of money on, which doesn't seem to be playing ball with the adaptive dynamics at this present moment. Obviously I had to play around with the pins, couldn't quite get it to do anything, so took it back down to the workshops. So what Matt did was he unplugged the shock that we fitted, the new one, fitted the old one back just on the electrical connector. So the reason that we took that one off, it was misting with oil and leaking oil, so obviously needed to be changed. But what you can do is obviously plug the old one back in and just drive it up and down a little bit of the lane and see the adaptive dynamics fault comes back, and it didn't, which kind of, again, you put it back onto the new shock, do the same thing, and it comes back on. So it all points towards the brand new Bilstein shock, which I'm shocked about. Of which obviously we need to speak to Maltings and see what they say, because they're the ones who supplied us the part, and they're normally very, very good. It's very, very rare that we have problems with any of the parts, but when we do, we can normally just do it on an exchange basis. So I'm sure that that's all that will be, which is good. So while Soph's going to finish cleaning the interior of the XJ, I'm going to go and sit the SAF test. It's very, very boring. We have to do it every year to keep us compliant with being able to offer finance, which obviously we do. So yeah, that's my plan for the next little bit, to do the SAF test, and then I've got to do a little bit more regarding the company's house, etc. as well, just a few things that need updating, etc. So yeah, a bit of an admin day, but we are moving things along with the stock as well. So we'll get that one done, and then I'm thinking we're going to get the Volvo in rather than the SQ7, because I think I'm going to give it a go polishing that rear bumper. I've had another look at it, and I think they're very much surface. They look quite fresh. They're very much surface marks. And I don't know if I'll be able to polish an enormous amount of that out. Because unfortunately, I mean, even if you get it wet, it goes. So a polish might do something. But unfortunately, Valentine's very busy at the moment. So if I can polish it just for the time being, so we can at least photograph it. And if it needs to be done, then it will be done, obviously. But it's a really nice car. I'm very, very happy with the two new bits of stock. And then the plan tomorrow is, because I kept my diagnostics machine here, we're going to go back over to Nick's, plug it in. Have you figured out what it is yet? If you have, let me know. And we'll see what we can find out regarding the engine management light in there. And for those of you who are interested, I have passed the SAF test. That's my little certificate there. I'm not going to do anything with it, but obviously I need it in order to do the finance bits that we do. There's 60 questions. You have an hour to do it. And some of the questions, they're just confusing the way that they word it. It's almost like they try and catch you out. But we did 52 out of 60, so pleased with that, which is good. We've also got the Volvo in. I've washed the exterior and brought it into the showroom, and I'm going to give it a go at polishing this corner as best I can. It definitely needs to go into paint because it has caught on the plastic trim as well, and Valentine can fix that because he's excellent at what he does. But to try and just tidy it up for the time being so that we can advertise it, because it is going to be done. Obviously, it's on YouTube, so people can see. I'm not trying to hide it. I just need it to be better than what it is at this current state. So I'm going to get the polisher out now to give it a go. Okay, so it is by no means perfect, and it is definitely not the permanent solution, but it is looking a lot better and more presentable if someone were to come and see it. So as I say, definitely still needs to go, because there's a couple of marks that won't come out, and I've also smoothed off the plastic just a little bit, taken away the rough edges, but Valentine has sorted it properly. But it's looking a lot better in the sense of we've taken out all of the whiteness of the scratch marks, and just made it look very presentable, just whilst we're waiting on Valentine to free up some space to be able to get to it, because he's a very busy man, because he's very good at what he does. But what we are going to do is, whilst we've got the polisher out, is go down this side here, because there's quite a bit of head trash to be expected with the style of car that it is in the state, with the crossover / all-road / 4x4 side of things. It's very common. You might be able to see just a small scratch along there, or a hedge scratch, all down the sides here. So yeah, we'll crack on with that, but I'm pleased that that is looking a bit better, and then we'll get onto the inside because it is grubby. There we go. That's looking a load better. Good job, worth doing. Feeling much better now that we're making a start on the new stock. So yeah, very pleased with that. Also spoke with Maltings, and did you know that Bilstein have sold 3,100 of those units, and they've never had one come back to them. It's just so typical that the one that we fitted to that XKR seems to be a faulty one. So they're sending another one down to me, which we'll get in the next day or two. Obviously, we'll have to send the old one back, but then hopefully, and I really hope so, I'm touching all the wood I can, that will then mean that the car that I bought now 4 weeks ago is then ready to be advertised. So yeah, it was a long time coming, but it will be a very, very nice XKR and ready for sale very soon. So kind of got that going. And then we've got a bit of running around to do this afternoon. So this will be the last clip for today. We'll catch up in the morning. But today's the 12th, of which there's been quite a lot of chat about Auto Trader, which many other automotive YouTubers are talking about as well. And we are on Auto Trader. So yeah, I do have a few thoughts about it. I haven't quite figured out what they are in terms of how to articulate it into a video, because some bits I do quite like about Auto Trader, but other bits they are starting to grind me the wrong way. So so maybe I'll do a different video on that altogether. But yeah, speaking with a few other traders and bits and pieces, a lot of people are not happy with what Auto Trader are trying to do. But anyway, we'll catch up in the morning, after we've been to see the bit of stock from Nick, actually. Good morning. It is now Thursday, and we've been to Nick's with our diagnostic machine on the way into the showroom to have a look at a Land Rover Discovery 4. So if you guessed that from my very vague clues of what I thought the fault could be, well done you. But we plugged it in, and there were a few codes. There's always codes in cars. Just because if it has like a low voltage or anything like that at any point, it just stores them. That doesn't mean that they're active codes, obviously. So we cleared them all through, but there was one that was consistently coming back. Just came back immediately as soon as you cleared it, didn't even need to drive it, and it was the restricted performance with an engine management light as well. So the code that it had was in relation to a mass or volume airflow B. And that can relate to numerous things, but I have my money on inlet manifolds, but I doubt it very much that it's those, because they've already been upgraded to the aluminium ones, which are a really good upgrade. It's a very common thing to have on any of these 3-litre SDV6 engines, to have those done. And we always try and get the aluminium ones where we can, because they will just last far better than a plastic one. So that it can't be those, which is a bit of a shame. Because it means we're still having to do a bit of investigation. So we haven't said no to the car with Nick, because it's a really nice 64 plate white HSE luxury with the black pack. It's a real eyeful, rear entertainment, heated steering wheel, heated seats front and rear, like a real nice Condor bit of car. So we're still obviously pursuing it and working with Nick, who's a top bloke and a real old school trader in the sense of we'll obviously get it sorted together. So he's going to get over to us at some point, at which we're going to get it down to either of the workshops to be investigated further. So yeah, we did that on the way in. Could be something as simple as an inlet, an intake pipe, or it could be something a little bit more sinister, such as a stuck EGR valve or a cracked intake pipe to the turbo or something like that. But I'm hoping, and it didn't have it on when he picked it up, and I absolutely trust him. So I'm hoping it'll be something as simple as a split intake pipe, and we can then go ahead and purchase that one to bring it into stock. So yeah, we did that on the way in. And we also had a customer that we spoke with yesterday called Tom, who's a local chap, only in Ivybridge, so not very far from us at all. And he, this morning, has reserved the BMW 520i M Sport, which is a really lovely car. He's got a slightly older BMW 3 Series to come in part exchange, which he sent through a few photos of, etc. So we're given a good price on that. He's booked in to come in on Sunday. So we're going to get the BMW out off the plinth because it's on the centre at the minute and get that ready for Nathan to pick it up tomorrow morning on his way over to the workshops. So he's going to take that in with him for a service and an MOT so that it's actually ready to drive away on the Sunday. Obviously, he's yet to see it, so there's never any pressure. But if he does decide to go ahead with it, it makes it easier for everyone. If he doesn't, for whatever reason, he gets his reservation payment back because that's just how we work. So yeah, really good start to Thursday. Shame about not finding an easy fix for the Land Rover just yet, but we'll keep pursuing that. So yeah. And the weather is looking like it's going to be kind to us today. So the plan is get the Volvo back inside. I took it out because I wanted to fill the space that when people drive past of an evening, we don't have lots of empty spaces. I know it's a bit silly, but that's what I do. So I'll get it back into the showroom. It's already had the external clean, so it's going to carry on with cleaning the interior, and then I'm going to get the SQ7 over in front of the roller shutter doors to give that an external wash. It's really not too bad on the inside of that, so I'll be able to wash clean the inside whilst it's outside, and then we're going to get it photographed and advertised today with the hopes that the Volvo will soon be following. So yeah, that's our plan. Fingers crossed it goes that way.
James is just outside photographing the SQ7 and I'm just cleaning the interior of the Volvo V60, and this boot, I have to show you, is just unreal in a bad way. The amount of dog hair, for reference, I've already done this bit twice. It's just taken me ages. It's taken me about 45 minutes and it doesn't look any different. So wish me luck. Got my trusty rubber scraper out and this is how far we're getting. Pretty grim. Okay, half an hour later and we're looking somewhat presentable. I just now need to do the rear seats and this side. Okay, about an hour and a half later and the boot is finally done. Now to do those rear seats and the rest of the interior.
That is the Audi SQ7 all photographed and advertised, and I've got it booked in next week for the alloys to be refurbished. Obviously they're diamond cut, and there's one which I've noticed has got a little bit of a flat edge, so he'll be able to sort that out for me as well. Whilst I've been doing that, I've also cleaned all of the cars all the way through. We've had some pretty dirty rain, got more on the way, but there's no excuse for the cars to look as dirty as they did. So yeah, I did all that, and then Soph's been slaving away inside the showroom cleaning up the Volvo. As I say, it was an absolute mission to do so, but they do clean up well. So the steering wheel's all looking loads nicer now. Seats have come up really clean. So it's looking a damn sight better than it once did. So this one's pretty much ready to photograph as well. Hopefully we get a kind weather day tomorrow too, to be able to do that. Tomorrow we should also have the new Bilstein shock, and then we'll finally have the Jaguar XKR finished, and also Nathan at Totnes Cross. He's going to look into the Evoque in more detail as well. He's potentially thinking, because he drove it home last night, he's potentially thinking it could be something like a drive shaft, or a coupling that goes between the drive shaft and the transfer box, or something like that. But we'll see what he comes back with. Hopefully nothing too sinister, but it just seems to be that like it's had like a domino effect of problems on that car. But surely the last domino's got to fall at some point, and we will have a very nice Evoque. And I've also been buying more cars, 2 more from Max that we've agreed to buy today, which we'll pick up next week. Should be really good, so make sure you're subscribed to see what those are, because we've got a couple of part exchanges coming in over the weekend that we can do swaps with. So yeah, all looking pretty good for a Thursday night. Just a shame that we lose the evening so quick, because obviously it would have been nice to photograph and advertise this one today. But, you know, it is winter. It is Friday morning, nearly the weekend. But again, I'll be in, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. So the Volvo is now all cleaned and ready. So we do like an interior, obviously an interior valet in the showroom, but then we've also got a wax detail spray that we use when we don't want to put it outside and it's raining, because obviously I did wash the exterior of this before it came in. But obviously we don't want the water droplets, etc., to dry onto it. So we've done a wax spray and a bit of a polish down this side as well, just because there were a couple of marks that I wanted to get out, so I'd done that. And obviously done some tyre shine, because it always looks nice, and we changed the number plates. Always looks better with a fresh set of plates. The only thing I'm waiting for now is a slight break in the rain. It doesn't look like it's raining from in here, but when you stand out, you've got a real fine mist, and it doesn't take long for it to look like it isn't dry. We've also had the delivery of the new Bilstein shock, which is going to replace the other one. So we're going to get that one down to Matt in just a moment. We've got 2 sets of number plates to change, one for the sold XJ there. And then of course, Nathan collected the BMW 520 this morning. It's already had its service and it's already been MOT'd. So it's actually ready to go this weekend, should the customer choose that that's what he wants to do. So that's good news. So yeah, we're going to get the shock down to Matt. So hopefully he can fit that today and we get the XKR back before the weekend. Hopefully we get a break in the rain, so we can photograph the Volvo, which is looking very, very smart now. Really, really pleased with this bit of stock, so that's good news. And then, of course, we'll make sure the XJL is all cleaned and ready for an early handover tomorrow morning. So yeah, all in hand. Pretty good Friday so far. So it is now Friday afternoon, of which a few of you will be watching this video in just a few hours' time. So yeah, we've got the white BMW 5 Series back from the workshops. That's all freshly serviced and MOT'd, which is great news. We've got the sold Jaguar XJL, which is going out early morning tomorrow. So I'm going to give both of these a wash now, hoover out the insides, etc., to make sure that they're what they need to be. And I'm also going to be changing the number plates as well, because I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet this afternoon. But I have had the opportunity to advertise the Volvo V6. It's such a nice car, and I'm really pleased I was able to do so before the weekend. More from the point of view that we just need to advertise cars. We've sold a few, which is great news. I'm not complaining, but it also means that we have to put the effort in to replace a few that we've sold. That being one of them. Another one being, of course, the Jaguar XKR. That is down at the workshops. The new Bilstein shock that we had this morning delivered, went down, and it still doesn't like that shock. It must be something to do with the electronics within the magnetic ride of the dampener. So spoken to Maltings Off-Road, which are absolutely brilliant. They're really, really quite knowledgeable and very good. They're going to send me out a BWI one, which apparently they are the manufacturer / supplier of the shocks that supply Jaguar. He says if this one didn't work, then there's something that we need to really investigate. But that's the next step, because obviously we can't just keep fitting the Bilsteins. Obviously doesn't like that one for some reason. So yeah, we're going to be doing that job next week, which will mean 5 weeks that we've had that car and we still haven't been able to advertise it, but it will be ever so nice. I can't remember if I mentioned with the seat, there wasn't actually anything broken on the seat. They just needed the motors reprogramming. Both front seats needed the motors redoing, and it works perfectly now. The latches in and out, all the motors and everything work. Oh, that was a loud horn. Of which then, yeah, so we'll get that back next week. And the Range Rover Evoque is over at Totnes Cross. They've did like a bit of a road testing on the ramp, because they've got 4-poster ramps, and trying to get it running whilst it's up in the air with all 4 wheels turning. They think it's a drive shaft, so they've ordered one in. The difficulty is you can't tell until you start to take it apart because of where the couplings go and everything like that. So yeah, they're going to be investigating that further next week. Don't have a definitive answer on that one. And then there's also, of course, the Disco 4, which I've been trying to buy this week. That'll get dropped to me on Monday. So please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, because we will be investigating all of these going into next week to give us a bit more stock, and hopefully we'll have more inquiries. Very, very pleased with the 2 bits of stock that we were able to get out of the 4 that we bought this week. So yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Really hope you're enjoying the content, and we'll see you next week.